All right. You're a little late this week, but since most of you watch this recorded, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Except for Mike Giovanni. He probably watches it live every week. His hands are shaking now because he can't get on. This is a bonus week, guys. We're sitting in the 5th week of February here. And so
January.
what happens January. Ugh, I'm preparing for February.
There we go.
So usually what happens here, right? We have our standard event calendar we go through every year. And then every once in a while we have a 5th week where there's nothing planned. I don't want to stretch into February quite yet because we don't want to get off our cadence. Last week we talked about architecture audits, how to make sure we're getting the most out of those, which we'll use later on in the year. And so weeks like this, it's like, what's coming up? So there's a couple things I've been like on top of mind lately that I want to make sure that the community is looking at. One, our Ninja RMM is in beta now.
Yes.
So if you have access to the beta environment, you can actually log in and play around with it.
There you go.
You don't have access to the beta environment? Well, you better beg, plead, and bribery works too.
Oh, so. Bribery, yes.
The other thing is, today I got a voicemail, and it reminded me of something that everybody needs to be more aware of. Okay. So we just had a administration change with the presidency in the United States.
Really?
What we know is when things are chaotic, right? When change happens, cyber attacks go on the rise. And so I got my voicemail this morning about a new policy change that'll help me with my tax benefits at our business this year. I'm like, it was definitely an AI sounding voice. Yeah. And I'm like, well, here they start. And I'm wondering, like, you need to be letting your clients know right now. This is where you can be an advocate for your clients. Create a 30-second reel or a minute-and-a-half reel explaining to people like, hey, be on the lookout for fake policies, fake emails, fake reaching out. Like, hey, if you click here, we will help you with your HR, your taxes, or whatever's going on. And so we really want to make sure that we are focused on letting our clients know, letting our users know, and use that for marketing, right? But also use it to be a value add for your clients.
Well, and I think those are great. I mean, they're easy to do. I think the expectation on most platforms now is you don't have to have this grand setup with, high-end cameras and microphones and all that goes with it. As long as you don't make it bad intentionally, it's probably going to be just fine. But one of the really cool elements is you don't need to see that as a one-time event. Oh, I've got to, block out some time so I can create this one thing and post it out there. Keep track of that stuff. That's a good repository of, items that you can use and use them multiple times. So the specific example that I'm driving at here is in our personas. So if you're using our platform, the personas, lots of opportunities there. And this is an easy way to be a focus item for your January, your February sort of engagements that, hey, you've seen a rise in this, you're pushing this out on whatever social media platform, or maybe you're, mailing it out to them, but you can take that exact same content and put that into a content widget in like the QBR agenda that we have out there. That'd be a great one to plug in there. And you get down to that point in your meeting and you have that particular video that you've already pushed out. They might have already seen it, but you can use that as a conversation to circle that back around. So they can go, oh yeah, I saw that that popped up on LinkedIn the other day. Yeah. Tell me more about that, right? So it's this layered approach that gets you deeper with your clients. And if you leverage this, it's not a huge amount of effort to do these sort of elements again and again and again. You can reuse this stuff in a variety of ways.
Yeah, and I was reading in like Paul. I'm going to shout out Paul Green and his marketing right now. Like he gave a great advice to me in his new book, where it says your people only listen to about 1 out of 4 of your emails. Like they only really listen to this and this. So if you think that you're posting a lot, If you think that I've got 4 videos out on this, everybody's seen them. No, they haven't.
Mm.
Your views on those. We have really successful views on like some of our posts. Be like, oh yeah, 500 people watched our community update last week. That was 500 views out of the 100,000 people we're trying to reach.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a penetration of less than 1%.
Yeah.
And that's like on one post. So if I did that post 5 times and I got the same 500 views 5 times, and you look at unique views and things like that. But let's just assume they're all unique. So it's rocking it. I got 5 posts at 500 views each, and that's 2,500. That's 2.5% of what I'm trying to reach this week.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you're being super chatty and noisy because you're seeing 100% of them, but your clients are not.
Yeah.
And so when you're making these little updates to help your clients understand what's going on, where things are getting built out, you got to understand that you got to over communicate. When you want people to know that, hey, it's not just like administration change, it's any chaos. Cybersecurity attacks go on the rise. So when we had the big East Coast blackout, we know that during that blackout, there were a bunch of cybersecurity attacks. We know that during blizzards, cybersecurity attacks, any kind of disruptive chaos that is in your country or in your locale, people just take advantage of it. They have their attacks ready to go. Mm-hmm. They're just waiting for confusion so that you can't call your IT guy because you're not in office because of the snowstorm.
Yep.
They want to take advantage of that confusion and make, $10,000, $20,000 on 1 or 2 people clicking out of their 100,000, out of their 60 million that they're going to try to go for. All they need to do is get like less than 0.00%, 1%.
Yeah.
This. So you have to think the same thing when you're looking at how do I reach my audience? Understand that you're fighting through this noise and the search algorithms are working with you, but you have to post. You have to reuse your content and just assume that only about 2% are going to actually see what you sent out.
Yep.
So the other thing I want to talk about right now is what's up with February, right? So we are sitting here in January of 2025 and I've already started saying the words, well, when you're planning for 2026.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's January, people. Why am I talking about 2026 right now? What does that have to do with the price of beans? Yep. It's because I need to run a successful year here. And so that when I get to October and I'm talking budget conversations with my clients, I am ready. Mm-hmm. But it's if you're used to doing, but let's say you're doing budget conversations with your clients and you're really good at them. How much time do you spend on those budgets every year? How much of your week do you have to block out to do a really successful budget meeting with a client? Mm-hmm. What if you were to spread those activities out over the year? How far would you have to go back? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you February.
There you go.
This is where budget conversations start. They're really going for those of you who are FedRAMP or are working with federal employees. Mm-hmm. You're definitely talking budgetary items in February of this year, especially with all the budget changes, right? You've got to be on top of your policies. You got to be on top of what's going on so that you can help your clients get the most out of their budget in June, in October, in December, wherever you are. Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, I'm always the kind of down in the details, but as you are working with things, and again, I'm going to reference our platform, but insert any tool you would like. There's a great opportunity now as conversations come up to make a note about that in a variety of places. Now, one of the things that's really cool is in our platform is the project roadmap. So there's a feature out there. I mean, I don't know, 95, 99% of the time when somebody goes and puts something on the roadmap, they're putting in a budgetary number there. All right. That's what most people want to work with. But there's another little feature there, right? It's a different colored box that covers it in, and we just kind of refer to it as a time box, right? And what that means is, hey, we're going to talk about this again, or I need a flag for this to come up. And in some areas I've seen it, it's been really cool working with a client and going through like a gap analysis. And you got all these things out there. The specific one that I'm thinking about was we were looking at their Microsoft 365 tools, right? It's a whole slew of, things that come with that. Most people are not tapping into even, half of them. And we went through, we had a little exercise, and they looked at a lot of those, and they're like, I don't think so. I just don't. Maybe that seems really cool, but they're thinking time. For some reason, in the back of their mind, they're thinking cost, even though it's already included with their license. But anyway, so what was so cool about those was I said, okay, we'll circle back around to this next year. All right.
Yep.
And I put a box out there. And the really cool part about that is because I maintained visibility with that. What happened over the next several months as they worked through stuff, they would call up and go, you said we were going to talk about that next year, but some things none of them been thinking about, some things come up. Let's talk about that next time. And there were probably, I don't know, 6, 8 items that we put off to next year, and half of them ended up getting implemented within a 3-month period.
Yeah.
So this, keeping track of things as you're going along, setting expectations for what you're going to do next January, next February, right now, rather than waiting a year and then trying to remember this moment, this meeting that you were in, earlier today. That's just not going to go well. So take these opportunities to set yourself up for success, and, tell your future self a year from now, hey, they said this was the year they want to do that. All right. And make sure you've got a workflow that allows you to implement on those sort of things.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because you just want to work in the moment, right? You want to put out the fires that are in front of you right now. And I get that. I get the desire to work in the now. But you also need to be thinking, how do you coordinate the future? How do you get your roadmap built out? And a lot of people are tired of being in firefighting mode. Well, this is where you get out of it right now. Like planning out and scheduling those. Like, hey, you know what? We'll worry about that next year. Just as Skip said, we'll plan that out in 2026. That's okay. Let's work on things here. But then in 2026, you already have a plan. But you're starting today. And you know what? In a year from now, you're going to be talking about 2027. And that's okay. You're lining things up. Like in our software company, right? We talk about a sales funnel. I want to always make sure there's people at the top of the funnel that, hey, there's things that are going to happen 12 months from now. And that's okay. I'm doing myself a favor in 12 months.
Yes.
And so you're doing your favor in a month. Don't think it as you're pushing something off. You're just scheduling out activities. You don't need all of them done right now. That'll crush you. So when you're thinking about your February, be thinking about December. Be thinking about October. Be thinking about all these things, because right now you're just in firefighting mode. You got just getting over the holidays. You're kind of hitting your mainstream. You just implemented a couple new tools, and now you need to start thinking about the year. And there's no real big events in February. There's no real big holidays. It's kind of a blah month. If you're in the Midwest, you're just trying not to die from the weather. It's pretty easy. So use this time to plan. Use this time to reach out. Use this time to create something where you actually are forecasting your year. So just like we're using this 5th week of January to talk about, hey, we got Ninja RMM going. I'm testing it right over here. I've already found one bug I want to get rid of. I'm also using this to say, hey, look at the chaos. Make sure that your clients are okay. Make sure that they are getting some cybersecurity updates. Watch their emails. Make sure they're not clicking on bad links, because people are going to take advantage of the chaos. Work through this stuff during this time where things are a little slower, but be thinking about the future, thinking about how you're doing yourself a favor in October by having budgetary items completed today that you're going to talk about then. Or maybe you're going to talk about in 2026.
All right, I've got another bonus item I want to throw out there. Yeah, and I'm always about the analogies, right? I don't know why. It just kind of helps apply it to a variety of things. But I was working with one of our members earlier today. They're new and they're starting use of our platform, and like, okay, how long is it going to take before we, are ready to roll with this? And I know what they're working for. They're working for, anyway, I know their goals there, and I want to be not salesy, right? I want to be very practical and say, you can use our platform today, right? In just a matter of minutes, we can do a few things. Realistically, and what I see our members do it's probably going to be a couple of weeks, and then where we're getting limited use, and then maybe a couple of weeks after that where we're getting more momentum in that. So that was my sales answer and my practical answer. But what I told them was, I said, you need to think about this like a buffet, a really, really big buffet. That's good food. All right. When we think buffet, we think Golden Corral, right? And whether you've eaten at Golden Corral or not, everyone remembers it. No, I'm talking about really, really good food. Giant buffet. You're not going to eat the whole buffet at once. You're not going to, walk up there with a tray, set the plate aside, right, and just start filling the whole, tray up, and then go to your table and try to eat everything at once. You're going to go to the salad bar, right? If I don't know why you would. Some people like the soup and that deal. I'm like, oh, I want something meatier, right? But you're going to go through this in stages, and the process, whatever you're doing, all right. So I know it's the new year. We're kicking off lots of initiatives. Maybe you're migrating your PSA. You're making some sort of big change in your office. Maybe you're adapting Humanize IT. Don't think of trying to eat the whole thing at once. All right. What's on the salad bar? What is the salad bar for this? All right. And focus on that. Get that going. And what you'll find is, as those pieces fall into place, the other pieces fall into place easier. You'll find things that work really, really well that you're able to use right away. And so that's an example from, my experience, today, working with our members at Humanize IT, but it applies to anything you're starting for 2025. Don't set expectations to eat the whole buffet at one time. Take it in sections.
Yeah. And I think I have a video out there on YouTube somewhere called The Heap. You start off January with a heap of things to do, and you just try to chip away at them throughout the year. You got this big pile. You're just going to take one thing off the pile as it strikes your fancy or as it rises to the top. Mm-hmm. Instead, move it out throughout the year. You have 12 months to work on this, guys.
Yep.
What can you work on now? What can you work on later? What needs to be done now? What needs to be done later? Break up that 70 PC deployment into multiple months, into multiple projects. Break up that giant pile of to-dos you have for 2025 into quarters. Then break those quarters into months. Break those months into weeks. Break those weeks into days.
Yep.
And at some point, you're going to lose interest and be like, okay, well, at least I got it down to quarterly breakdown.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You
that works.
But at least you're not piling the heap.
Mm-hmm.
And you can Google YouTube for the heap somewhere around here. Yeah. And it's a good topic that you need to work on, because that's how you feel overwhelmed. That's how you get burnt out, is that you pile everything on in January, all the things you want to get done, and you have all the leftovers from 2024, the year before, that are on that heap. And you're just not making any momentum. You're just under fire all the time, and you're just so tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you get out of it. You have to sit down and spend some time building a project roadmap, breaking it up into chunks. It's a buffet. It's not a garbage can full of food.
Yep. There you go.
All right, Skip. Well, thanks for coming on today. It was a nice bonus week here. We still filled up 20 minutes of time with absolutely nothing.
Doesn't take much.
If you want to test out our Ninja RMM, let us know. It's in beta right now. It's in the test environment for those of you who want to try it out. If you don't have access, give us a call.
Thank you.